The following is a special presentation of Hearst Television. A primetime matter of fact, State of Addiction.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for an unprecedented television event, a live national conversation about the #1 health crisis in America, the opioid epidemic. Good evening, I'm Sala Kim.
And I'm Scott Walker. All year we've reported on the state of addiction in our communities, the lives lost, the families devastated, and everyone wondering, can we get ahead of this problem?
Well, tonight we are looking for solutions, taking a deep dive into what it will take to stem the tide of addiction. To assist in that effort, we go live to the museum in Washington, D.C., and our colleague and host of Matter of Fact, Soledad O'Brien.
We're glad to be with all of you tonight and humbled by the task we've taken on. Consider this. Today, in our country, as many as 650,000 opioid prescriptions were dispensed. And sadly, today, as many as 175 Americans died from a drug overdose, whether opioids like heroin or fentanyl, or the new synthetic drugs emerging every day. Tonight, we hope to help the nation turn a corner. This broadcast reaches across 39 states with the potential to touch families in 21 million households. Our goal is to help create a national agenda for action. We'll be joined by medical experts and policymakers, people in positions to make change happen with your help. So let's start in a community desperate for change. Jessica Gomez reports from McDowell County, West Virginia, a state where one person dies every 10 hours from a drug overdose.
On a Sunday morning, this is where you'll find Pastor Martin West.
We need to know what the Word of God says.
Delivering a sermon to his rural McDowell County church.
Have they come to yet, or are they still out?
During the week, he's Sheriff Martin West.
Because of the number of people that's dying, you know, it's a lot of pressure.
McDowell County. It was once called the billion-dollar coal field.
The streets were constantly lined with people. Had 3 theaters here. We had 3 hospitals here.
That was then. Most of the coal mining jobs left, and so did the people.
A lot of people that stayed, and you know, they tried to make it, and things just kept getting worse and worse. The drug problem started escalating.
The jobs that were left, injury-prone mining and manual labor, coupled with the emergence of powerful prescription pain medication. It created the perfect storm of addiction.
The worst part of it is watching them daily. Their life just drained from them.
Yvonne Church's son was prescribed the painkiller OxyContin after nearly cutting off his thumb in a construction accident. He was hooked. One November morning, she found him on her doorstep. She had tried everything.
When I found my son, there was a smile on his face. And it hurt. Because whatever this drug is that puts a smile on somebody's face when they're dying, what a hold it has on a person.
Stephen Kissinger, an addict in recovery, knows that hold she's talking about.
It becomes #1 in your life. You can't get out of bed the next morning unless you got one. You can't get up and go fix a cup of coffee if you ain't got one. It consumes your whole life. Nothing else matters.
So since the last time you were here...
Kissinger waited 3 months to get into Southern Highlands, one of only a couple of outpatient treatment centers in the county. There are funeral homes here, but no long-term rehabilitation facilities. Kissinger's brothers didn't make it. He's now worried about his kids.
It's a way of life for some of these children that they see that their brother is an addict or their mom is an addict. So many children are removed from the homes and placed into foster care or for adoption.
When you sign in, you have to have your identification.
At Linda McKinney's food bank, she often sees grandparents raising grandchildren, their own children addicted, in jail, or dead. In the poorest county in the state, now nearly 50% of children don't live with a biological parent.
I said, what's going on here? Where are these babies going to go? Who has the answer?
A community in crisis. Sheriff West finally had enough.
It's a McDowell County problem. The case should be tried in McDowell County.
With help from law firms in Charleston, Sheriff West spearheaded the county's lawsuit against 3 of the largest prescription drug distributors, claiming profit and greed motivated them to ignore laws requiring them to report suspicious orders. This while flooding county pharmacies with millions of pills, well in excess of what would ever legitimately be needed.
The little guy's not just going to back down. It's a little county, not a lot of people there, but they're not just going to roll over and be a victim of these entities any longer.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that information with me.
Meantime, the state of West Virginia, which created a 24-hour hotline connecting addicts to the closest treatment options, is taking proposals on where to spend dollars it won from a similar lawsuit.
I've buried 3 out of 1 family.
Sheriff West, who's lost exact count of the number of funerals over which he's presided, says the help is not coming fast enough.
And they keep telling me we're forming more commissions, and I'm saying, well, people is dying now. We need help right now.
Lord, it just wants to praise you.
Prayer. Sometimes it feels like his only option, and publicly calling out state lawmakers he says have failed his county.
When we were the billion-dollar coal fields, everyone stopped by for a handout. Now that we're in desperate need, we're being left out because no one in Charleston cares. God forgive the state of West Virginia, and God save the county of McDowell. Sheriff Martin West.
In McDowell County, for matter of fact, I'm Jessica Gomez.
Thank you, Jess. We invited the pharmaceutical distributors named in the lawsuits to participate in our show, but they declined. We did receive statements from some saying in general they believe the lawsuits are misguided because they're not the ones actually prescribing the drugs. Many people across the country are grieving the loss of a loved one and struggling with the stigma often associated with these deaths. So tonight, we're asking you to help us build a virtual wall of remembrance on social media. Use our hashtag, it's State of Addiction. Share a picture, a video, a story, a tribute to someone you want to remember for their life, not their struggle. And we hope if you have a story of hope, you'll post that as well.
There's something really wrong with my beautiful 21-year-old son dying.
What does it take to loosen the grip of these drugs on our children? And a reality-based discussion, how to get help for those who need it.
Plus, a staggering and disturbing statistic. Louisiana has one of the highest overdose death rates in the U.S.
The steps being taken to stop this trend and how it could affect everyone who picks up a prescription.